Right, today at Google, the I/O conference in San Francisco was all about Google and Google developers. The company announced a new service called Music Beta. The same day, the company is facing intense scrutiny in Washington, D.C. over tracking and location and security of all of its users. Now, Danny Sullivan is probably the leading expert in the world of search. Your blog, search engine blog, has been Search Engine Land, I'm sorry, between you and John Battelle, covering the world of search so well. Let me ask you about this privacy issue, because it seemed to come out of left field for both Apple and especially Google. And clearly privacy is looked at very differently from Washington, D.C. than it is from Silicon Valley.
Yeah, I think that what really especially kicked this off with this realization that Apple had this sort of location database on their phone that got people wondering, well, does Google have the same sort of information? And they kind of got dragged into it. Yeah, and indeed they do have that kind of information. I think that they had disclosed it better than Apple had. When you fire up a new Android phone, it'll ask you, do you want to share this kind of information in various ways? The iPhone may do it similarly, but I definitely remember it more with the Android phone. However, for most people, that still might as well be gibberish. They just may not have registered it in any way.
Now, within Google, has there been a response where they were sort of angry that this is being portrayed in a certain way, or do they get it?
No, I think Google actually stepped out fairly quickly about this. I mean, when it started getting raised about them and these things were raised, they came out with a blog post. They immediately said, well, we do this kind of disclosure. This is what we do with the information. This is what we don't do with the information. Apple took a week to get around to saying, we don't track in that way that many people think, well, actually, we do think you do track. It's just how you're defining it.
So when the I/O conference, do you get a sense of how important the future, in the I/O conference, you're seeing the future of Google. You're seeing new developers. You're seeing new ideas and platforms on which they will develop. How important is location-based services and search in those locations to the future of Google?
It's very important. I mean, they have entire sessions, entire tracks known as Geo, and that's all about the geolocation aspects of what's going on with the different applications you use. And it allows Google to better provide information to you if they know where you're at. You fire up your phone and it can just find restaurants for you without you even having to say what city you're in. So that's definitely one of many examples of where if they can get good location data for you, they think they can serve you better.
So this is so important. There's no way they turn this off.
No, not at all. They'll probably make it more prominent for people in various ways if they feel like it needs to be done.
Or make it less prominent, but make the warnings about it more prominent.
Exactly. And as I was reading through some of the Senate hearing stuff that went on too, they are suggesting, well, we need to have more disclosure of the different applications you use. I know that when you fire up an Android application, I think this is similar with iPhone as well, it'll tell you, do you want to share? It's actually sometimes scary when you install these things. So I'm not certain how much more they can do with it. I think maybe the bigger question isn't more warnings, but the ability for a user to feel like they're in control of those location data. Who gets them? How can they delete them if they want to? Are there ways they can specifically know what's taking it and what they can block?
Right. All right, Danny Sullivan, really glad to get you in the show finally. Your blog's a must-read for people following Google in the world of search.